Hi and welcome back to Live and Breathe Horses. Today we're going on with Morisco's story and going back to the beginning in a way. So the theme is a bit about biting. So he is a nibbler. He's a very mouthy horse, you know, he'll chew the rope, he'll pick anything up. When we were practicing with getting them used to the carpet, he just runs straight up to it and grabs it in his teeth. So he's very, everything's mouth orientated. And how much is nature, how much is nurture? From the beginning, of course, it's those early stages that are so important. So to go back to the beginning, a friend of mine decided she wanted to get a horse and she said, I want a baby foal so I can bring it up the way I would like. So we went round some breeders looking at foals. And she ended up not buying a horse. I saw Morisco and something about him just caught my attention. Hey Morisco, that's it, relax. His friends are out in the field there. And I went home thinking, no, I don't need another horse. I'm not buying another horse right now. And the next day, a friend of mine called me up and he said, Susan, someone had given him or wanted to give him a 6-month-old foal. And he said, you can't bring foals up here. And you know, he didn't have a lot of land. Can I bring it up to your place? And I said, well, foals need other foals. So of course he came to my mind. So that was the lovely Emperador who came to my place and was brought up with Morisco. So I then called the breeder of him and said, hey, I want you to leave him, because he was only, I think, 4 months. I said, leave him with the mom till 6 months and then I'll come and get him. And then suddenly when he was 5 months old, maybe not even quite, the breeder phoned me up and said, I've had to take him away from his mum. He's drinking too much milk. She's pregnant again. Come and get him. So I then, as quickly as I could, arranged transport and went to get him. So they'd basically taken him off his mum, shut him in a dark stable, and he was just closed in there, weren't you, Biscuit? And then they went to put a halter on him, 3 men. They basically beat him in the head, wrestled him down in the corner, and then manually shoved him into the trailer. Biscuit, stand back, there we go. So then we got over to my place. By that time it was 11 o'clock at night, and he didn't want to come out. See this little nibble? So that's what we're going to talk about. So he didn't want to come out of the trailer. So I luckily had a mare at the time, took her in, he followed her out, took her in the stable, he followed in, you know, turned her around, took her back out, shut the door, and there he was, quivering and just looking like he was about to have an attack, weren't you, Biscuit? So the next morning I went round to feed him, opened the door with the bucket, and he just put his ears flat back and went to attack. And luckily I was quick enough, I saw it coming, I threw the bucket, got him with the bucket, and he never ever tried it with me again. But every single person who went near him, he would try it. So most people were not allowed to go near him, or only with me watching. So that, I don't know, see how much is nature, how much is nurture. His instinct, you know, they say horses only do 2 things, don't they? They do what they think that we want them to do, or they do what they have to do to protect themselves, which if they get a choice is usually flight. But he's much more got a fight, which is not so horse-like. But how much was that because of the way they fought with him those first days? I mean, he does have a strong character. He is a cool dude, you know. He's very independent. If I was here with Bing and the other ones at the other side of the field, I would have to be much more doing something to keep him calm. He's quite fine on his own. So yeah, so he is a bit of a nibbler still. So often with that, it's a little warning like, oh, I should be paying attention. He's trying to tell me something. And of course, ideally, we would never get bitten because we would see it coming and do something about it before. So if the horse is doing it to get attention and, you know, they're maybe not feeling good, then telling them off when they're not feeling good isn't going to help. So if we don't get there before and see it and say, hey, come on, you know, do a little shift of something, or put them back in their place, tell them to stand there, something, then obviously when they do it we have to tell them off, and that's in a scale, you know, how much is needed. And when I do that, if I have to tell him off, it will always be in my mind, well, I should have seen that coming and done something about it before it, you know. And it's not, he's not doing it through meanness. So I'm talking about playful nibbly stuff here, like they do with other horses, you know. They nip them quite hard just to play and get their attention. I remember him and his mate Emperador, the way they used to play when they were, by the time they were 2-3-year-old stallions, it was quite full on. And of course we're just weak little humans, we can't have the horse playing with us like that. So I'm not talking about horses who are really vicious and attacking and biting. That's a whole other thing, and something that's you know, needs to be addressed as a whole psychological study or something. What is going on? Because, you know, beating the shit out of them and then they go from anger to fear, and it's so difficult. You know, I've had horses from places that have been really badly treated and they're so terrified. But when you know, as soon as they get their confidence, that's the moment, you know, then they have to just, am I taking over or what's going on? And that was obviously his instinct in those beginning days was, you know, I have to be in charge, I'm the one to take over. And he is always the boss of the herd, you know, so that is kind of his nature. But the nibbling thing, it's really a practice of being more aware and not. And if I see it coming and he's going to come over and nibble me, if I just or do something like that to prevent it rather than whacking him one, you know, because it's not like he's doing it out of meanness or being bad. He's just saying pay attention, and he often wants to move people on. You know, he was loose in here the other day and people were standing around and he was wandering around and he was like kind of giving the signs to like nudge people and move them, and if they didn't pay attention he was like, usually just, you know, he just gets the clothes and says, hey, don't you biscuit. So of course that's very rude, and I am all for my horses being very well mannered, but that's one of a big part of Biscuit's story. That's what we're busy with now, that I'm really paying attention to what he needs and his expression and stopping that before it comes. Biscuit, you wouldn't think it now, it's such a gorgeous warm sunny day. Someone's gone all very sleepy. So little side note on that, I just changed his headgear to go and do a little bit of exercise. And I thought, oh, I didn't speak about the biting grumpiness because of something, typically a saddle, because that's not his issue with it. His is more cheeky playful. It's not, and it's not because of a certain thing that he doesn't want. So the saddle's a good example, because I see that so much. You know, the person goes with the saddle and the horse is getting uncomfortable, looking a grumpy face, sometimes swinging their head round or swinging their butt round, swishing their tail, and just not happy about it at all. And I don't think that's a very good way to start. You know, if that's me, like, well, I think we need to sort this out before I even think about getting on. It doesn't feel at all nice to me. You know, the horse is basically saying when you go with the saddle. So in that case, it's to acknowledge something's not right here. That horse is telling me it's pissed off. Do I want my horse to be pissed off? No, probably not. So what are we going to do about it? So I would walk away again and then walk back. No, don't nudge the tripod. And then come back with the saddle. Try approaching from different angles and different places and changing how you're doing it, you know. So walking in different, like I say, from different angles, and then really watching the horse. So as you're approaching in with your saddle, and as soon as you see the horse not look happy, you back up. So you make it like a game. And I usually do it very playful, like, oh, I'm getting out your way, sorry. And then very quickly the horse will start to look and go, oh, this person is understanding me. And that makes such a difference to them, you know. So I'm not saying reward the horse for biting or looking grumpy by getting out the way and then they're going to be dominant and think they're in charge. It's not as simple as that. It's not just one thing. So when they do that and you back off, you're going to come in again at a different way and try and make it better. So it's just like saying, oh, I can see that's not okay. How can I make this okay? And go trying different things. Obviously, if you did that and the horse lunged forward to bite you or got worse, then you would have to correct them. But making it a playful game and finding a way. And it's a great way to build a deeper connection with your horse, learn more about them and understand them better. You know, these simple things like grooming as well. How is the horse's expression? Do they get grumpy? Do they enjoy it? So, but the biting with the saddle, or sometimes it's with the girth, is one that you can play with, you know, and just really that the horse understands, oh my goodness, this human sees that's not okay, and find a different way to do it, you know. Watch the expression. It's a great learning opportunity, and I would like my horse to be happy, or if not happy, at least softly accepting the saddle on things before I'm going to get on him. So anyway, that was quite a long little side note, a PS, but it just seemed important to add that because, yeah, I see it a lot. Thank you for joining us today. Keep on tuning into the light, and we'll look forward to see you next time.